You use ChatGPT, right? But you actually know what it is? Most people have no idea. And that gap in knowledge just got 4 real lawyers thrown out of a federal courtroom for handing a judge court cases that never existed. In this episode, you'll understand what this machine is really doing when it thinks, why it sometimes makes things up, and exactly how and when you can trust it. In plain English, no coding degrees required. I'm Charl. I am not a coder, but I build with these machines anyway. And this is Charl versus the machines.
Charl versus
the machines.
Right. Here is how 4 trained lawyers ended up arguing with imaginary evidence. The real court case was a dispute over legal fees in Mississippi. There were 2 sides. Each side had 2 lawyers, and each side needed earlier court decisions to support its argument. This is normal legal work, right? You tell the judge another court dealt with something similar, and here's what they decided. One lawyer used an AI legal research tool to find those earlier decisions. A lawyer on the other side used an AI drafting tool to help write her court paper. Together, the tools produced 6 legal citations between them. They looked completely real. They had case names, dates, court numbers, page references, the full legal outfit, except the cases weren't wearing an outfit. They were invisible because they didn't exist. The other 2 lawyers hadn't personally used the AI, but they signed the papers without checking the citations either. So the court received 3 official documents containing fake legal authorities. The court tried to find the cases. Nada. The judge then asked the lawyers to provide copies. Still nothing. At that point, the robot wrote it or the dog ate my homework isn't much of a legal defense. One lawyer told the court she hadn't known AI could invent cases. Needless to say, the judge found that explanation in judicial terms completely unbelievable. The planned trial was cancelled, the case was paused, all 4 lawyers were removed, 2 were barred from appearing in that federal court for 2 years, and everyone got fined. So the AI didn't sneak into court through a window. Humans carried it in, put it in a tie, and gave it a seat at the table. So why did the machine invent cases in the first place? Well, let's try and unpack it. Because ChatGPT, or any other flavor of AI you like to work with, they aren't giant filing cabinets full of verified facts. The engine underneath is a language model, which means it was trained on a huge amount of text and learned the patterns inside that text. Then when you ask a question, it predicts the next small piece of text that should come next. The technical word is a token. You might have heard that one before. It might be a whole word, part of a word, or punctuation. The model chooses one token, then another, very quickly. Out comes an answer. Think of autocomplete on your phone, but with a library card and absolutely no fear of public speaking. Most of the time, the strongest language pattern also points towards the right answer. That's why these tools can translate languages, explain difficult ideas, and write working code. But a legal citation is also a pattern. Name versus name, a number, a court, a year. The machine can reproduce the shape perfectly without having a real court decision underneath it. It doesn't automatically know if that citation has a pulse. And because the answer arrives neatly formatted, we assume somebody checked it. Nobody checked it. And that's the trick. The machine gives uncertainty excellent posture. This matters to me because I use AI to build real apps every day without being able to code them myself. So I explain what I want, the machine helps me plan it, write it, and fix it. So if it says a button works, I don't just take its word for it, I go and press the button. If it says the page loads, I load the page. If it says the problem is fixed, I try and break it again. That's my version of checking whether the court case exists. The machine can produce the work. I still own the responsibility. Now, of course, this doesn't make ChatGPT useless. We know that it's not. These machines are incredible, far from being useless. But it does make it understandable. Treat it like an incredibly well-read assistant who works at frightening speed and occasionally fills a gap with something that sounds right. Use it to think, use it to draft, use it to explain. But when the answer matters, check that the thing exists. Open the source, press the button, call the person, poke it. The machine gives you speed, you bring the judgment. Okay, so now we know the machine can invent 6 court cases and still sound ready for trial. So naturally, companies are trying to replace people with AI. Which brings us to the weekly question: am I out of a job yet? Answer: no. But some bosses are certainly giving it a good go. OrgView surveyed 1,000 senior business leaders. 39% said they had made people redundant after bringing in AI. Of that group, 55% then admitted they'd made the wrong decision. That's more than half. So they fired the humans, hired the robot, and then discovered the robot needed humans, so brought back the humans. Ford Motor Company gives us a more useful version of that story. The company had leaned heavily on automated quality systems and AI tools, but those systems didn't catch everything that experienced human engineers could catch. So over 3 years, Ford hired or brought back more than 350 veteran engineers. Some were former employees, others were from suppliers. And Ford didn't throw the AI in the bin. Instead, the experienced engineers are training younger staff and helping them improve with these tools and this new technology. So that is far less dramatic than the robots took all the jobs. It's a little more believable, a little more digestible. The useful future isn't human or machine. It's a human who knows the work, using a machine that can move quickly. One brings experience, the other can read a manual in half a second. And together, who knows, they might remember to check that the car has doors. Now, of course, none of this means every job is safe. Some roles will disappear. Some entry-level work is already changing. Companies will keep trying to automate anything expensive, repetitive, or annoying. But AI can do part of this job. That's not the same as AI owns the whole result. That missing bit is judgment, context, responsibility, the part where somebody has to sign their name at the bottom. So am I out of a job yet? That's a gray area. Just started my own company. But no. Why? Because AI has actually allowed me to attempt work I could never do before. Things that were just stuck in my mind or imagination, I'm now able to bring into reality thanks to AI. But I don't hand it the keys and leave the building. I use it. I question it. And when it gives me 6 beautiful court cases, I check whether any of them are alive. Okay, try this week. Here is how to find the edge of your own AI in 5 minutes. Ask it about something you know really well. Your job, your hometown, your hobby. That subject that makes your family regret asking you a simple question, normally something to do with Star Wars or Star Trek or the Marvel sequence of movies. Make the question specific. In my case, I worked on private yachts for over 20 years. So I wouldn't just go, tell me about boats. That's too generic, too obvious. I might ask it something about a particular engine problem, a marina rule, or a route or passage that I know well. Then read the answer slowly. You're looking for 3 things. 1, what did it get right? 2, what did it get wrong? And 3, what sounds right but seems a bit fishy. That needs checking. The third category is where the danger lives. So ask for the source. Open it. Check that it exists. Check that it says what the machine claims it says. If there's no source, treat the answer as an idea, not a fact. The goal isn't to catch the robot out. The goal is to feel where help ends and trust begins. Once you feel that edge on a subject you know, you'll recognize why medicine, law, tax, and anything else with consequences needs proper checking. Use the machine. Just don't let excellent formatting make decisions for you. Okay, time for the scoreboard. Machines, they get a point. I mean, they invented 6 court cases, dressed them in perfect legal formatting, and ended up in papers signed by all 4 lawyers. That is some outrageous confidence from a machine with no body. Humans get a point. The judge checked whether the cases were real. They weren't. Checking the source remains undefeated. Charl won, machines won. A draw. We go again. The machines are not coming for you. So let's figure them out together. I'm Charl, and this has been Charl vs. the Machines. See you next time.
Charl versus
The machines.